Hi everybody. I got to fix a propane leak. So yesterday I opened up my propane tank in the cockpit, the compartment, turned on my solenoid switch on my instrument panel, and turned on my stove to cook myself some lunch. Once I finished, I turned off the stove, turned off the solenoid switch, and then just went ahead and had my lunch. But then about an hour later, I started smelling the distinct smell of rotten eggs, which is a product they put in propane, right? Because propane itself there's no odor. So they actually, propane companies actually add additives to make it smell so that you can actually smell as propane. The other telltale sign as well is that propane is heavier than air. So from the propane tank compartment in the back of the cockpit, well, obviously there are openings. So the propane itself went down to the belly of the boat. So when I went into the back room, where this is really the half room, if you will, it really smelled bad. So I knew that there's a leak for sure. So the first thing I did is safety first. I went and closed the propane tank. And then I opened up all the windows in the boat, and I made sure, thank God I quit smoking about 15, 20 years ago. It's not a time to have smokers around. So it took about an hour and a half or so for the smell to go away, including inside the boat and all that stuff. And then last night I went out with the boat, and while I was motoring, I opened up all the windows in the front hatch, so I got a nice airflow and I got all the propane out of the boat. So now today, I went inside the clubhouse to make myself lunch. I did not want to use the propane. So now what I'm going to be doing is, I did take the propane tank off, disconnected it, and then I opened the tank just to see if it was that valve, because I did get the propane tank certified. In other words, so they changed the valve and they changed the tubing inside as well. And so I had a pretty good sense that it couldn't have been that. It would have been rare if that would have been the problem, the propane tank itself. So, and then I put the tank back on. I installed the tank back on. And then from the compartment, I left it open. I then put my head in and I opened the propane again. And right away, I got the smell of the propane. So I said, okay, I'm going to check the connection. So, and the connection to the propane tank seems to be good. So, it's somewhere in there, and there's I think there's like 6 or 7 joints. So it's rubber tubing, propane tubing, and the joints are all brass, of course, or copper. So what I did is I did myself a mixture of soapy water. So I'm going to go to the propane compartment, and then I'm going to spray all the joints, including the rubber hoses. I'm going to just spray them with this thing, and then I'm going to turn the propane back on. And if there's a leak anywhere there, I should start seeing some bubbling wherever the propane is being released, because it is under pressure. So it should give me a good sign of where the leak is. I'm hoping it's just a copper joint, because then I can just open it, put new Teflon back on, and put it back on, and we go. If it leaks along one of the rubber tubes, that means I just got to replace that rubber pipe as well. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to let you guys follow along. Okay, let's go to the propane compartment. And I'm just going to open it up. Okay. Tie that to the rail so it stays open. There you go. So that's tied up to the rail. I'm going to open up the propane. So there's the propane tank. So like I said, I closed it last night, and then I haven't touched it, and it doesn't smell like propane at all anymore. So these are the joints I was telling you about. So there's joints here. There's definitely joints there. Joint there, joint there, joint there. There's a joint over there as well, all the way down to, if you can see it at the bottom there, that's the solenoid switch. So when you're you turn on the propane, to deliver the propane to the stove or barbecue, if you have a propane barbecue, you have to turn on that solenoid switch at the that's usually found on your fuse panel, your electrical panel on the boat. So I'm going to start by spraying the soap, and let me just make sure that okay, there it is. So I'm just going to spray every joint liberally. It's just soapy water. It's not a big deal. There you go. I'm going to put some here anyways, even though I checked that. There you go. And I think I can aim that better, I think. No, probably the other way. Hold on. There you go. Okay, I can get down there. There you go. I want to get all the pipes as well. There you go. Okay, that should do it. So now, okay, I can smell the propane already. And I'm not seeing where it's coming. So I'm going to close it for now. And actually, I'm going to go get my glasses. So let me pause you for a second. All right, so I got my eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and do this again and turn it back on. No. 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 All right. Well, oddly enough, the propane is on. I can see the PSI, the pressure right there. But oddly enough, I don't see any bubbles. Maybe right there. Can you see that? No, that's not it. So I'm not seeing any bubbles anywhere. But then again, and also I'm not smelling propane anymore. So maybe it resolved itself, although I could smell it before. Anyways, okay, so I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on here, and when I do, I'll continue with another video. Okay, so I'm having a hard time telling. I can smell it. I don't see anything bubbling except for right there. There seems to be some bubbles, but they're static, so I think it's just the soapy water. And down there, I don't know if you see it. Yeah, right there. That's going into the solenoid. Sorry, the output of the solenoid switch. I think I see some bubbles there. When I spray it, there's movement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the tank altogether. I'm going to just take all those fittings off. I'm just going to clean them, reseal them with Teflon, and reinstall them. That way I'm going to cover all my bases. And hopefully by the time I put everything back together again, hopefully that will solve the problem. If not, we'll have to go to looking for another dag nut. But I'm pretty sure it's coming from in here somewhere and not from that pipe there feeding all the way down to the kitchen, to the stove. It seems to be predominantly right here, so I think that's going to be the solution, is just to reseal everything. I mean, let's face it, the boat's 30 some odd years old. Chances are it wouldn't hurt to reseal all of those joints. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to start by removing the tank. Okay, I've got the tank out. So I think the easiest ones for me to start with, I'm going to remove this one here. That way I can work it. I can work it from the bench or whatever, and I don't have to be in this thing. And then I'll remove the second one over here. And then reseal those things. So while I'm at it, I cleaned the inside of the propane tank thing. So now I've taken the valve part out, and you can see it's pretty sluggish Teflon here. And if I look at the inside of this valve, where that's the input, maybe this Teflon all needs to be replaced. So so basically it's not complicated, by the way. It's do-it-yourselfer. This one here, I have to remember I have one here, I have one here, I have one there, one over here as well. right over there as well. And this is the part that goes into the propane tank. So while I'm at it, I'm going to take that. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 on this part alone. That will go into the solenoid switch. So 4, that's 5. And you see here, a little tricky one. There's a little one here as well. I got to take this off. That's a reducer here. So I got to do, there's 2 here, 1 here and 1 here. And then I've got 1 right over here as well. And not to forget over here, this one, I got to remove that one as well. And I got to keep track of the flow. That's the arrow is the direction of the propane. So, okay, so now I'm going to need both hands to do that. So I will take all this apart and put it back together. All right, I think I found the one that was the problem, guys. So this component here is the part that goes into the propane tank. And it connects to this here, which brings me to my pressure valve. And also directly here to the solenoid to switch on. I just finished resealing this one here with Teflon. I took this one apart. This is the one with the high pressure. Remember, this is where the propane tank is. So when you turn on the propane, this is the first part where pressure comes through. And what I found is most of the Teflon was not there, and there was a piece of Teflon all the way in the hole here, which I had to basically suck out. So that tells me one thing is that sometime at one point the pressure went in, the Teflon was pushed inside the hole, and that means this was no longer sealed. So I'm going to go ahead and reseal it, but I'll keep resealing everything else as well while I'm at it. So like I said, guys, I told you this was the problem over here, but I'm cleaning out everything in this. I just realized, look at that. There's a hairline fracture right there. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me see if I can make the light better for you guys. Can you see that? Anyways, there's a, let me see here. Hold on here. Maybe you can see that better. Yeah, so there's a crack right there. See that? There's a crack right there. And it's right there. So even if I Teflon the hell out of this, it's not going to fix the problem. So luckily, I just one piece here that I need to replace. So I'm going to go ahead and reseal all the joints anyways, because it just makes sense to do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and get this piece over here replaced, and then put it back together. So that's it, guys. I found the problem. That's exactly where it's coming from. There's no doubt about that. So I'll just reseal all the stuff here, but there's no point in going on. There's the boo-boo. So I'm going to go ahead and take that apart and go to a propane shop and get a replacement part. And that's it, guys. Pretty simple. Okay, so in going to a propane shop, they didn't have this piece here. So they actually made me another piece. What this turns out to be, as you could probably tell, all that is just an extension. That's all that is. Usually if you don't have enough room, they'll add an extension so you can go ahead and screw it in. So what he did is he took these two pieces here, a reducer and a joint, and he says you just replace that with that. But he says, but before you do that, see if this was really necessary to begin with. So, and he was absolutely right. So as you can see, that piece used to go right here to bring this T here, the gauge and the regulator a little further out, which was not necessary really. I have a lot of room here to play and put in the adapter. And as you can see, if you look previously or earlier in the videos, when I would turn the propane tank on, it would give me about 90 pounds of pressure, and as you can see, I'm almost at 118 pounds of pressure. And if you look at the videos prior to this final one here, and when I would close the valve, okay, you would actually see the needle go down to 0 because of the leak in the crack here. It would remove all the propane out of the line, because it had a crack in it. Now you can see it's actually turned off. My pressure is holding, so that means I still have the propane in the tubes and all that. Now I did, as I said I would, I resealed every single hose. So all the hoses have been resealed with brand new Teflon. Just while I was at it, you might as well do that. And of course, I added it to my maintenance log. So some of you have seen my video about the importance of keeping a maintenance log. So I put today's date, and I put down exactly what I did. I resealed all the propane hoses in the propane tank compartment and all that. So that's it, guys. So it was a simple job, but a necessary one. And I did open up my stove and my solenoid. Everything is fully functional, and the propane was on for quite a bit, as it is right now. And I have no more smell at all, no more. So I know the leak has been taken care of. So this is something, it's a safety issue. If you guys do have propane on board, be aware. Make sure your passengers are aware of that kind of smell, sort of like rotten egg or whatever. And if anybody on board ever smells that, they should let you know. And the first thing you should be doing is, first of all, no smoking. Shut off your propane immediately. Open up all your windows and vents, and stay away from any kind of electrical connections or whatever for a little bit until all that smell goes away. All right, guys, let's be safe out there, and thanks for watching. Again, if you appreciate these videos, do like them, and yeah, do subscribe and share them with other fellow sailors that might find these useful. Thanks, guys. Have a super day.